And that's how you dispose of a body.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me tonight are Adam.
Hello.
And Harry.
Good evening.
And of course, I'm the keeper for the night, Sanguine. How are both of you doing tonight?
Doing just fine.
That's good to hear. Always better than the alternative, right, Adam?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I question. But yes, so far so good.
Well, even just being able to question is better than not being able to question.
Another day above ground.
You'd have the option of questioning, I guess.
Yeah, if it weren't if you weren't alive, then you wouldn't even have the option to question whether it's better being alive than not.
Would that be a check mark in the plus of being alive to be able to?
For me, yes.
Jeez.
Being able to question and think is a rather desirable state of things for me. So,
Assassin of the Grey thinks that we forgot Sora. We haven't forgotten Sora. She forgot us. I don't think she's even in the potential run lineup.
God, hold on.
I did offer...
Dude, every time she's there, though, somebody dies. I'm always suspect of Sora Luna.
Oh, you mean because she's sus? Are we talking about that game with the people who get pushed up the clock?
Well, I mean, I don't want to die. Didn't we just... Okay, well...
But that's virtual death, not serious death, because we aren't in a situation where if you die in the game, you die in real life.
Hey, look, you know...
That is still
drastic times take drastic measures. And drastic measures require drastic circumstances.
Yeah. And anime is dumb.
Yeah,
still one of the best, worst quotes from any preview of anything. If you die in the game, you die in real life. Okay, I now know the sum total of this movie, and that it's retarded sounding.
Mm-hmm. As long as we know the boundaries of where we're able to go, that's the important thing.
Yeah. If they disconnect you from the VR machine, you die. If you die in the VR game, you die.
Yep.
If you don't win the game and get released from the game, eventually your body will die, and then you die.
Yeah. A lot of death options there.
Yeah, a lot of death options. I mean, it's still probably better than a battle royale.
I think it's too many death options. Maybe we can scale it back. Maybe remove some of them death options?
I don't know. The Battle Royale, if it weren't for the insane son of a bitch, that one group of kids would have actually fucked over the entire game. And I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck they managed it. The ones that were going to blow everything up?
So in the movie, or any of the adaptations, is it the case that you have to be the last person standing? So all alliances are temporary, or can you and your squad try to get it out alive?
So in the movie versions, it's supposed to be last man standing. In each of the iterations. In each of the iterations, there is some caveat or trick that the protagonist duo are able to pull that they get to be a two-man win rather than a single-man win. And in the movie for Battle Royale, and I think this grouping is also in the comic books, there's one of the student groups is the grandson of this absolutely insane freedom fighter / terrorist person who...
Because why not?
Yeah, because why not? And it gives them the ability throughout the entire thing, right up until, 2 minutes from their plan going off, to build bombs and plan out, okay, here's how we're going to destroy the entire infrastructure of the thing forcing us into this. And then once we destroy the infrastructure, we're just able to walk away scot-free. No one has to die. And then they die. But it's never because their plan fucked up. It's in the movie, and I think it's the same in the comic book. It's because this one insane son of a bitch who just liked killing people, so he signed up for the Battle Royale, ends up finding them after, like, 2.5 days of them just preparing bomb materials and planning out where they're going to strike and how they're going to strike. Which, it just, why? How the fuck were they able to do it for that long? And then, really, once they're about to be able to put their plan into motion, no, that's when they die.
Well, it seems like there's only two ways these kinds of things can play out. It can either be extremely straightforward, and basically kill everybody and don't get killed is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Or you can try to be all mysterious with all the clues and things. So it can be like Lost or The Prisoner. I mean, The Prisoner is great because essentially our protagonist quits from whatever secret agency he's in. He doesn't offer any reason as to why he quits. And this is, for some reason, deemed incredibly important to the point where they send him to an unknown location in what is essentially this twee little English village, which in real life is Port Merion in Wales. And he, could have a perfectly nice life there, but he doesn't want to tell them what they want to know because he's this sort of staunch individualist. And then all of the machinations that happen of all the different ways they try to break him, it's a lot more work, for the writer and everybody else. It's just a lot more straightforward just to go and blow people up and do all that sort of stuff than it is to try to put something together like The Prisoner. And at the end of it, there are still a bunch of unanswered questions. And there's still people to this day who are annoyed by the ending to that show because, you didn't get to see the bad guy's face clearly and so many things were left unexplained. And this just bugs the shit out of some people. And as you can tell by the tone of my voice, I'm perfectly okay with it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it unless there's this nice, neat, tidy little ending where everything is completely handled, and sometimes, no, the dickhead that was causing everything does just kind of sneak away. And you don't always have to have them die. And this is something that comic book movies have a really big problem with currently. Because there used to be there still is in comic books, but the movies always have the damnedest time, especially recently, of not killing their fucking villains the first movie that they're in. You don't need to kill off the villain. There's a bunch of ways to avoid killing off the villain. But recently, for some fucking reason, no. It's at the end of the movie, the villain either dies due to another villain killing them, or due to a situation that they got into and the hero fails to save them, so they fall into a reactor, or they end up completely frozen solid and then shatter, or the hero just fucking murders them a good number of the time. Which I'm just going, what the fuck is wrong with... Why is the hero just murdering everyone?
Well, I kind of miss like a classic Bond movie. Not this new stuff, mind you, not this bittersweet, everything's relative and complex and whatever Bond movies, but the old Bond movies where Roger Moore would find the hot chick, played by like Louis Shiles, and all of the bad people in space would die, and then he would end up, in the ocean in like a rescue pod thing from the spaceship. And of course, when they go to meet with him, they're going to have the Prime Minister talking to him over a radio link as they board the boat, and he's all in flagrante delicto with whoever it is. And then the music plays and it's over. You know, you have perfect resolution every single time. It's not art. It's not fancy. It doesn't have to be. It's just fun. You know, thing happens. Bad guy dies. Bond gets laid. That's basically the way it always works.
Even in old Bond movies, they had certain villains that they didn't die. Because then you could have this villain be brought back later. That was half the point of, like, 2/3 of Spectre. Which is why it really pissed me off, the modern movies, how they took Spectre. Because it was, oh, look at Spectre. They have all these villains from across... Okay, that one's dead, that one's dead, that one's dead, that one's dead. Here's the boss of Spectre. Oh, you just killed him. What the fuck was the point of the build-up?
I think a big obstacle in terms of getting a good comic book movie is writing. Only because they have to be able to play through what the people who are funding it, who may or may not have an understanding of what the stories are, and then having to be able to craft it so that it may or may not have a sequel. So where, you know, you're looking at it like, you know, you could write a movie where it could have like a trilogy. You could write it, but could a studio writer write it? That's the question, you know, like that's where we have issues with.
The thing is that they'll try to stick messages that are entirely contradictory by the fact that their hero is just constantly murdering people. They'll try to make the message of, see, good people don't always have to kill the bad people, except in your movie where you're trying to make that point that this hero is better and doesn't just kill people. She just fucking murdered everyone.
And I would point in terms of example, Kevin Smith with Superman Returns. I mean, this is there have been issues with trying to get decent stories told, but because you have to work through I want to say menage, but I don't think menage is the correct word. I don't even think that's the right word for it. But you have to work through obstacles of the industry to be able to get even what, like, 50% of what you want in terms of, you know, storytelling that you'd want out there. And it's just weird because it's well, I mean, not weird, but it's enlightening to, you know, see a lot of these people talk about this shit back in the day, and then we're dealing with a lot of this nonsense now, where we're finding headlines of, yeah, we didn't want Doctor Strange at the end of the fucking WandaVision episode because we didn't want a white guy explaining shit. But in terms of the story and the canon of where these characters are from, it would make sense for Doctor Strange to, like, tell Wanda, like, hey, dude, you're fucking with some shit. You know?
It's almost that he's not acting as like,
who the fuck?
Oh, I know. It's almost like he's acting as her elder and not so much as a white man. It's almost like he's her senpai. It's called senpai, you noobs.
Everyone, welcome to the show, Genty Maxie.
Hello. Sorry.
It was a panda.
It was a good walk, and well, you see, the panda is fitting in with my theme because everyone keeps accusing me of being Russian. I'm like, I'm sorry, but the people invading aren't Russian. I understand the Russians better.
Why are you being accused of being Russian? What is it that you did or didn't do that makes people think you're Russian?
Because they keep confusing China with Russia because the communists.
Chinese?
No. I'm very much Canadian and white. It's just, my prime minister really likes JJ Ping. He admires him a lot and kind of wishes he'd be best friends with him, and he's not, because Trudeau's kind of a retard.
I think
it's
your
not
prime
even a
minister
useful
fetishizes anything that isn't basically white and European
Yeah,
derived.
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But when it comes to comic book movies, a shit ton of the time, the thing is that they fail before the point that you're talking, Adam. Because, especially if you look at Superman movies, they fail to just understand Superman's character. Because every single Superman movie, outside of the old ones and then animated ones, always have, oh, he's an alien. He isn't human. He isn't from this world. Look how alien he is. Isn't this man the most alien that you can possibly imagine being an alien? He's not at all human. Whereas, no, the entire point of Superman is he's a farm boy from Kansas with good family who happens to be fucking Superman.
Hold on. Just a real quick aside. Have you heard? And not to like, I'm not saying this to like gush on anybody, but like, have you heard Kevin Smith's I don't know, discussion or his speeches or but his talk on the Superman, because the thing is he kind of shines a light on that a lot of these people who are producing the movies, they have zero understanding of what the characters are.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just, I want this and this and this. And when he was sitting there like, I'm trying to write a story, it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. I guess a point that I could use as an example, he wanted to understand why Brainiac didn't have any opposition in going to the Fortress of Solitude, and why he couldn't fight some polar bears, and it was just an odd thing to add. But this person who's funding it, he wanted polar bears to fight. So this is where the
Fortress of Solitude, Antarctica, not Arctica.
Well, and it's the Fortress of Solitude, so there'd be nobody there.
Well, the entire thing is, if I remember correctly, Fortress of Solitude, isn't that supposed to be in Antarctica, effectively? Because polar bears aren't in Antarctica. In fact, that's the reason why Antarctica's called Antarctica.
There's nothing there.
Antarctica means the land without bears, effectively.
Yeah, you gotta go north for the bears.
Yeah, bears are in the Arctic,
And
which
constantly
is land with bears.
taking care of picnic baskets. But but the thing is that when we're dealing with movie studios, is a lot of times, and again, this is why it's kind of a nice thing to see the change in terms of independent studios kind of getting a rise. But a lot of the old hounds or the old hands or whatever you want to call it, but they were more focused on what they were going to get out of return. So they would go with their own bullshit. And that's how you got, and again, like I said, not gushing on Kevin Smith, he did some good stuff, but then he did a lot of bullshit. Hey, God bless him. I'm glad he turned his life around. But what he says about the industry is it does have some weight to it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean that's all my my 2 cents on that.
Oh yeah, and that goes into the creators don't understand the fucking characters, because you end up with that type of bullshit. Then you also end up with the fact that, like I said, every time that they do a Superman movie, they always seem to want to stress how alien Superman is.
Yeah.
To the point where they make the fact that he's Kryptonian more important than the fact that the Kents were his parents. And they'll have him say shit like in the most recent ones when he looked at Pa Kent and told Pa Kent, "You aren't my real father." The Superman of the comic books, the Clark Kent of the comic books, would never fucking look at Pa Kent and go, "You aren't my real dad." Because, no, that's the only dad he's ever known. Yeah, Superman is American. He isn't Kryptonian. He's American. His biology is Kryptonian, absolutely. But Superman has always identified more with Ma and Pa Kent than he has with Jor-El.
Hold on. You know, it reminds me of this tweet that I think it was yesterday. It was either today or yesterday. I'm getting my days confused recently, but of an overturned car or truck in Texas, and then there were people trying to get 2 babies out, and I think a person, and they just said, you know, like these are Americans. This is America, and exactly that, like that. It's look, shit's going down. We're gonna go and try and fix it.
Yeah,
You know?
the way that people need to start writing Superman when it comes to the movies is as he has been written in the comic books for fucking ages, where he's a superpowered farm boy. That's what Superman is.
And holy shit, that tractor's malfunctioning. I'm gonna go fix it. And that's and it's like 100% what he does. Just because he can leap over buildings and shoot beams out of his eyes, it doesn't matter. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna make sure that you're not being harassed, because that's not how we do things in polite society. That's look.
He did that in all the animated series, the comic books, pretty much everything other than the modern movies. They showed that.
No, you want to see a good depiction of Superman? Go watch the old fucking cartoons from shit. I want to say I want to say Winsor McKay, but it's not Winsor McKay. It was Fletcher. It was the old Fletcher fucking Superman comics or animations. Like you want to see a good depiction of Superman? Go watch the old Fletcher animations. That is Superman.
Go watch the old 90s animated series. Because the 90s animated series got it down to T as well, where Superman would end up in a moral conundrum. And he would be going, okay, what the fuck do I do? Because I'm not sure what the right thing to do here is. And he would end up calling Ma and Pa Kent. Because they were his parents. And because they were the most moral people that he knew. And that was how tension was done for a lot of Superman shit. It wasn't really so much trying to overpower him, because he's fucking Superman. You aren't really gonna get consistently overpowering Superman with any villain. No, what you end up doing is you put him in tricky situations where he has to think, or where it's damn near a trolley problem. And he's trying to go through and figure out, how the fuck should I solve this? What is the right answer? And he checks with people that he finds moral. Rather than just, well, there's a villain, so maybe I just need to punch him harder? That isn't really interesting, because you already know that Superman is a godlike being when it comes to that. There's really no what the fuck's going to happen. It just becomes, oh, Superman's gonna punch something? Yep, Superman punched it. Wow. And you just need to play the character right. And I'm sick of this, Krypton matters more to him than the Earth. No, it fucking doesn't. He doesn't know Krypton.
And it's also gone.
Yeah.
You know, it speaks about a lot of people who really don't know a lot about kids who are adopted. Like, I was adopted from birth. I don't remember my mom at all. She gave birth to me. That's it. I have a letter from her. She seemed like a nice lady, but I don't want to bother her because that's an asinine asshole kind of thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But this idea that I look at my parents and I don't see my parents is retarded. At best, it's like when I'm talking about their ancestors. I'm well aware of the fact that my genetics don't match theirs, but their influence like makes up a lot of who I am. So it's really cheap how they feel about. Yeah, it's really cheap how they feel about adopted kids.
Yeah, and that's where they go wrong every single fucking time, because they just focus on, oh, his real name's Kal-El. No, his real name is fucking Clark Kent. That's Superman's real name. Superman's real name is not Kal-El. Which is why, when it came to the comics and when it came to the old animated series, the first time that he heard someone call him Kal-El, I think, was Brainiac. And it was effectively a, why the fuck are you calling me Kal-El moment?
Yeah. Like, who the hell are you talking to?
Oh my god, you know my real name. No, my real name's fucking Clark Kent.
See, like, I think Supergirl, his older cousin, would know her Kryptonian name, but even then, I don't think it's something that's. I don't know, man. Like, at this point, we've strayed very far into the realm of. This is why I laughed at the the anti-viewpoint of gatekeeping that came about a while back, and it's like, well, this is why we have this, you know. It's because we already have stories established. It'd be like somebody saying, like, well, you know what, Hercules, he didn't fight a Nemenian lion; it was a Nemenian tiger, and it's like, well, why would you change that? Just, it makes no sense.
Yeah. To be honest, the way that they've redesigned Superman makes him seem more like a colonizer than he was originally. And honestly, when they make changes like that, that's usually the underlying theme. I feel that these people is they're trying to make him out to be a colonizer. And I'm sorry, if you think an infant is a colonizer, like say the natives came across a white boy native, like little child in a basket, and picked him up, and they raised that little child would be native. I hate to break it to you. That child, as far as they're concerned, is native. And that's actually a thing that happened.
Yeah, the test scenario for whether you think race or culture is more important, and also whether you think that culture is determined by race, is the old argument of take a country that has a fairly small population. Let's just pick Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
So you have all the people of Liechtenstein. They have Liechtensteinian culture.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going about their life. Let's say something horrendous happens. Some freak disease hits Liechtenstein and completely sterilizes all Liechtensteinians.
Can we say the disease is called the Mongols?
That would be a poor choice, given what I was about to continue on saying. So
they have committed great. Wait, no, this is Hun. Well, that's the same.
Liechtensteinians are all rendered sterile, unable to have children.
They're
So what they
suffering
decide-
from the worst case of blue balls, guys. They're just their sadness.
No
After
woman will
repeatedly
live with these
beating
men.
themselves
They
in the
are
nuts.
consistently blue-balled for their own and dead face.
Because of a defective batch of thermal underwear. All of them
Yes. Defective underwear, they all go sterile. Horrible disease, they all go sterile. Just weird fucking birth defect pops up in every new member of the Liechtensteinian population.
Oh, shit,
Entirely
sea people.
sterile.
Yeah.
So
And oddly, the word member becomes very triggering for them after all this.
Whoa.
they become sterile, but they decide that they're going to adopt children from another country. They can't adopt Liechtensteinian children because there's no more Liechtensteinian children. So they adopt them from some other race and cultural group just for the sake of ease. Let's say all the children that are adopted into Liechtenstein are from East Asia. And
Yeah.
they adopt infants. They get them all brought in. These infants are then raised by the Liechtensteinian adoptive parents. And they're raised as good and proper Liechtensteinians. And they go about their life. And let's skip ahead 3 or 4 generations. So the ones that were adopted, they had children who had children who had children. And now we're looking at those children. What has changed about Liechtenstein? Is it the racial makeup of Liechtenstein? Is it the cultural makeup of Liechtenstein? Or is it both? Because there's really only one correct answer to my mind. And that is the racial makeup of Liechtenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were all raised to be Liechtensteinian. So the cultural makeup is still the same because they were raised in Liechtenstein's culture. And
It's
that's
really
the difference.
it's really kind of it's absolutely racist the fact that they keep doing that. I'm sorry, it is absolutely racist. Even if it wasn't against people of color, like I'm sorry, there is racism between like the same groups. There is.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is that we don't use skin when we do it. There just is. It's like I was actually talking to irate Alex before you asked me to jump on, and I'd actually just declared, like, honestly, the only reason I knew you weren't from my country is when you started talking to me. If you started talking to me and I could pick up right away that your thick accent was just that thick, I knew you weren't from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I assumed you were either Canadian or maybe you were American, because sometimes the accent blends a little bit. Not mine necessarily, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I automatically assumed that you were from North America at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Maybe I didn't know what state or what province, but like at that point I don't give a shit. You know, like I'm like, oh, you're closer to my side of the team than the other guys. You know, that's kind of my mentality.
Yeah, and there's a shit ton of old cultural grudges. Like the Scots hate the English.
Like
The Irish hate the English.
Hold
And
on.
anyone
hold on.
with sense hates the French.
Well, hold on. Before we jump over to the continent, is it so? Are Americans and Canucks allies against the Brits? They're the Islanders?
It really depends on the time of the day, really. Because you gotta understand. You gotta understand that. If
People are
it was
new to
my
being in
choice,
their
if it was
tea.
my choice, I would pick you guys over the Brits, because the Brits have thrown us under the bus before. You guys, not so much. On the other hand, we have thrown you under the bus, whereas you have never thrown us under the bus. So,
well, in all fairness, we tried to, take you under the bus.
yeah, we know. We knew about it.
But in all fairness, I mean, think of how awesome it would have been if you guys were part of the States. I mean, let's just put that aside. Against our Islander. I don't want to say, what is it? Motherland? It's not a mother. That sounds weird. But the people that we used to came from, and look at this. This is a brown guy. Let's just.
So I can't speak for a lot of Canadians. I am from an old school family, so you got to understand. Like old school means like 1814. We moved all the way out to buttfuck nowhere because there was like shit going down between Ontario and you guys, and we were looking at England, and we were like, you know what, we're gonna go hang out with the natives because they're more normal.
What?
Hey, that's my family. That's my family. We went to Alberta really early.
My family was like, hey, you know what? We're Texans. Oh, now we're part of Confederate. Okay. Now we're part of America again. Okay. So I get the whole family. Where we come from.
It's the ties that bind that really makes the difference when it comes to Canada. Like, if you really talk to a lot of old school Canadians, we absolutely tie to our families back home. And that's where a lot of the loyalty comes from. In all honesty, when it comes to the Brits and their government and their queen and stuff, we just go along with it because they're assholes. Like, you look at what they did to other people, and we were just kind of like, you know what, if we just smile and nod and charge them for it, they're going to let us go eventually anyway. And do you know what happened? We became really expensive. So they dropped us. It's just, there's different ways to go about things. And we just became not worth the effort. We made it a point to make it annoying to...
Well, then how does that explain Quebec?
Well, the thing is where do you think they mooch from? Where do you think we get the idea from? Like, if we just become really moochy and annoying about it, eventually they just kind of want us to leave.
They're there, and we're just gonna leave them alone.
Do you know how many other Canadians that I've heard be like, look at Quebec and be like, go ahead and leave. We're actually just waiting for you to. And Quebec's like, fuck you, we're staying, and then we will charge you more for it. Fuck you. Us leaving is supposed to piss you off. That's the point of it. That it's supposed to piss us off.
So they're the California.
Yes.
Only with different politics.
Yes. But I have a lot of sympathy for them because the thing is the problem with Quebec is they never want to learn enough English. And it's one of those things where, like, I always stress to them, I'm not asking you to learn English because I think it's a better language. I'm asking you to learn English because the people around you do politics in English and they barely speak any French. So when you hear shit, it's always twisted. If you understood what was being said, you can make your own decision. And if you want to tell the rest of us to fuck off, fair on that. But if you don't know what's going on, that's on you.
Well, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you don't inciting anything. I'm just hoping
for
one. I'm hoping for the one Quebec person to listen, but they don't. They don't want to listen. They're like this fucking Alberta chick. Like, what does she want? She wants to sell her fucking oil. Get rid of her.
Hold on.
They are descended from the
we
French.
have a few Quebecian listeners, or at least French listeners. I
hope so. I like them.
Yeah.
I don't dislike them. It's the frustration I feel like whenever the politics comes up, because we've been played between each other for over 100 years, and every time I'm like, if you would just get along with us for a little bit, we could fuck over the middle. Just saying, the guys who've been like playing us between each other. Let's have a rave at their house at their expense, TP the shit out of their house and then go home.
And because Adam said that he's sure that we have some French viewers, all I have to say to our French viewers is, have you tried not being French?
No offense, Costin. I mean, I would invite you to that party so you could join in on it, because I know more than enough Ontarians who are fucking sick of the politics there too. But it's just I get sick of that. Like the whole you're French. I'm not fucking British. Okay.
Hey, I just refuse to believe that we have a higher view count of people from Australia and fucking Britain, and not Welsh or Irish or Scottish, but Britain. So I'm
They're more liberal. Like I'm not saying Wales because I don't know Wales, but
liberal.
The Irish are very liberal. Like their TV, their news is very heavily liberal.
Well, it's more that the Irish decided ages ago that whatever it took to say fuck England, they would do.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, are we a liberal? Are we liberal in terms of? Holy shit! Wait.
It's one of those things where, like, if you were to go there and watch the TV and watch the news, it's very heavily liberal. That's not to say they're liberal. It's just that's what they're used like that's what they see as like common. Like that's all they see everywhere. So like you'll have a conversation with them, talk to them about conservative points, and they'll agree with you on stuff. And then you tell them that they're conservative points, and they're like, "I didn't know that."
I don't know. You know, honestly,
like I said, it's that they decided ages ago that they would be against whatever England's for to a large extent.
And no shade. I mean, I know I'm throwing shade to the Irish by saying that because I'm not meaning to. It's just it's the truth.
Whoa! Oh my god!
I love explanations like that.
Yeah, you see that?
I'm sorry, but I can't help it. It's true.
I'm sorry. I'm setting some.
It's like don't stereotype people. Then like don't do a stereotype.
Don't act like a stereotype.
Yeah. Don't be an Irish.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Look, hey, let me be on the record. I love Ireland.
I do too. They're beautiful countries.
Same here. I love their alcohol as well.
You know, they're beautiful people. Alcohol and lovely women.
But when I first saw their hobbit holes, and I was like, "Are you sure that's not where he came up with the idea of the hobbits?" Because the more I explore those hobbit holes, I laugh at them more. You know, the burial mounds.
Well,
no, the burial mounds are fucking awesome.
Yeah, I thought he put that in like Eastern London type peoples, but again, you know that
it's possible. I don't know. I think they're charming. I've always found the Irish to be charming, and they are charming.
Well,
they are charming.
They have a long tradition of storytelling and a very lyrical sort of poetry and songwriting.
Which is why I fucking love them.
Which is, and anytime you basically work out your differences at the pub, it's going to be okay. You may need some frozen peas for a shiner every now and then, but it's going to be all right. You know, it's going to be fine.
Can I say the thing I love about most of it is I can sit here and say I'm a Chicagoan and
you're not even American, just a Chicagoan.
Chicagoan. There you go. That's
all right. Big shoulders.
And I agree with all these people. That's exactly how I see you. You're Irish. You're Welshish.
I have a question for Jen. Jen, help me out here. So we have in the U.S. we have our hillbillies, right? Yeah. So we've got those people that are kind of the scary people that we kind of keep undercover in case there's ever a war, and then we just get Clem out of the basement and turn him loose. We've got those folks, and then we've got the Australians have their bogans, which are basically
do we have a rednecks? We do.
Yeah, do you have sort of like a bogan or a hillbilly or a redneck kind of element? And if so, what do you call them?
So we do absolutely 100% have our hillbillies, and we do have our rednecks. And
but
some
I want to know what to
are...
call them. I need a new word. I need a name to call. I need to know what their name is.
We need a name and we need a banner.
Gosh, give me a second. Let me go ask my brother. I don't know. Also, I don't have one up here. Like we go by like I'm Americanized. I hate to break it to you.
I also need to know.
I'll ask him for his best guess. He's older than me. He knows more than mine.
Okay, so what do you call Canadian bogans?
I also need to know what is your provincial version of Florida?
Wait, what?
What
Yeah.
is their provincial version of Florida, so that
They
they
don't
can
have that
have
many
their
provinces.
provincial Florida man?
But they don't have as many provinces. What makes you think
Okay,
there's a one-to-one
well, no,
correlation
yeah, no,
between
no.
their states?
No,
and
no.
yours?
There has to be at least one province that
Yeah,
is
It's
the
going to be
province where you're
Newfoundland. It's
going.
going to be Newfoundland.
Yeah,
This is where all the
Newfoundland or
crazy
Nova
fucks
Scotia or
go.
something. like that.
Or Nova
Yeah.
Scotia.
come
I've
from.
seen enough episodes
Yeah.
of Trailer Park Boys that if even 1/10 of that is correct, it's going to be
It's
I
one of
love
those like
Newfies.
the Sunnyvale
Northeast
Trailer Park.
I love
Islander people.
Newfies.
you know where the old Vikings landed. We'll just say that that's the
In
pinpoint.
Vinland.
Yeah, that's yep.
It was one of the 3 kingdoms that they named.
Was it Leif Erikson?
Yeah, it was Leif Erikson. And his father were the ones that
Hold on.
supposedly-
Can I? You know what? We're still live, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so while I still have a live access, I will say, you know what? I saw today a tweet. It was some dumb fuck who sat there and I was like, they posted like an image of a goofy looking Tim Burton thing, and they were like, "Could you imagine if Tim Burton did Batman?" And
He
it
did.
sparked.
He did an amazing version.
Well, hold on. It sparked a discussion of people. Hey, you shouldn't expect people to understand or know which directors did whatever movie, whatever.
No,
God.
I'm sorry. If you make
Well-
a definitive opinion, you should back that up with some actual
No,
research.
well,
And also,
I mean, obviously that's the key component is, look, you don't make a public statement and not expect Dunn's recourse. Like that's the entire point. If you're going to make a public statement and it's false and you are insulted from it, that's a learning experience. That's the whole fucking point. If you were in a classroom and you made a dumb statement and people laughed at you for it, if you said 2 + 2 = 5 and people laughed at you, yes, you learn from that. That's the entirety of the point. But then these people were sitting there like, no, we shouldn't have to. I think that one of the quotes was, I shouldn't be obligated to learn about what happened before I was born. And it's like, oh my God.
And you know what? You're the
Oh,
reason
wow.
why some of the feminists are right and people should do more abortions.
Feminism?
Yeah, and don't complain when history just repeats itself to your detriment.
What?
See-
No! No!
Jen, you just
Humans, do better.
I'm sorry, did I take that really far south? I'm not even a feminist. It's just there's some people where I'm like, you know that eugenics thing?
Well,
Jen, you just reminded me of one of my favorite insults. You're a beautiful example of a missed opportunity at an abortion.
It's honestly it was an initial reaction because, like, personally I couldn't stand having my children being raised in such a manner. That is no. Learn your history. Learn the history. Learn what the fuck.
This is why we're going around in circles, I think we are actually repeating history because there's so many people who don't know anything about history. And I'm like, you don't have to know everything about history, just pick something.
Well, hold on,
So-
because they
Wait, how did
brought
your
up
research go before we completely forget about that? I have not forgotten. I still want to know if you have an answer.
Oh, for that one, my brother came up
Yeah.
with 2. The second one made me howl with laughter, but the first one was Roughneck, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Roughneck,
And then-
okay.
And then the next one was Edmontonian.
Nice.
Edmontonian is equal to Bogan, is equal to Roughneck.
In Alberta, yeah.
Now,
So-
aren't the Roughnecks like tied with like cattle or coal or something? Isn't roughnecking a term for people in a profession? Like a very manly, rough profession? I don't remember which one it was though.
Well, we used to I mean, I'm not really sure specifically what that one's for, but I mean, we used to wrangle cattle. I mean, Alberta is known for wrangling cattle, but we also are a mining country. I mean, there's oil, there's precious metals. We have actually
Not so precious metals. Yeah, I mean, you have plenty of industry in Ontario, for instance.
yeah, like it's all across up north. Actually, the more further up north you go, the more you realize we have. And that's
well,
why
Sudbury, Ontario spewed so much sulfur into the atmosphere is responsible for like some ridiculous percentage of the acid rain in in North America.
Yeah, there's one Canadian YouTuber that I watch routinely that has a map that's all the mineral exports of Canada. And effectively, if I remember correctly, the only major mineral export that you guys don't take part in is you guys don't really have, is it an aluminum supply? I want to say it's something like aluminum or some other semi-precious metal that is now considered not really at all precious. And that was effectively the only one. You guys have iron and coke and copper and silver, small amount of gold and other shit like that. There's only like one metal where it's, oh yeah, we don't mine that in Canada.
I try not to blame Edmontonians for everything. It's just I know that's where Strathmore is, and that's where NDP is, and on the map when we had that last election, that was the one little blue, like it was a little orange spot in the middle of a field of blue.
Mm. And did you hear the other question that I asked about Canada before you headed off, or did you charge off too quickly to hear
I
that?
might have, or I might have forgotten.
What is the Canadian version of Florida Man?
Nova Scotia, man.
Okay, so it is Nova Scotians and Newfies.
Yeah, it'll be Nova Scotians and Newfies because they're the ones that have like a lot more of the hard drugs, and they tend to have more of the more the ghetto. That's not to say we don't have ghettos here too, but they have more of the ghetto. They have a valley, a place that's called the Valley.
I still have to say, I fucking love goddamn Newfies and their music.
They have good music. I do.
Newfies are amazing when it comes to music.
I feel a little bit for them, because they signed to Canada thinking, oh, hey, this is a rich country. And then we kind of fucked over their resources. So it's like, you can't even get those. they're yours, but, you're not allowed to use them because...
We're going to sell away some of your fishing rights to other countries. And
it's like a bunch of these dudes came up to try and make a living in fishing and boating and all that, and all of a sudden they're like, oh shit.
But you know how they got them, right? They're in off season for half the year, so they kind of need to have some money for half a year. And they're like, well, the rest of Canada can support us, and we're like, you really should have talked to Alberta because we could have told you from the get-go that they're gonna fuck you over like they do the rest of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the thing is that they were going like, yeah, we'll be fishermen, we'll be whalers, we'll do this and that, and then, hey, we're going to ban whaling. You sons of bitches, really? Oh, yeah, and we're going to give away a large chunk of your fishing ground.
Oh, and never mind that they have a hell of a lot of offshore oil that they're not, I mean, they are, accessing it, but we know for a fact that they're not doing it at the rate that they could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on the water. Like, that's the thing that's agonizing, is they're on the water, so they have access.
Yeah, it's just right there.
Just right there. My province, on the other hand, we're surrounded by people who don't want to let us go. And we could have bought our way through you guys, but then Biden became a thing.
Yeah, next time, just become the 51st state.
I know, right? No.
Most popular president ever, Joe Biden.
Yeah, we need you guys to become the 51st state, and then fuck it, we'll take the Newfies too.
Well,
I'm fine with the Newfies.
I think the irony is this week has been so much focus on them going back to Afghanistan, and I'm like, oh, you're going back to Afghanistan because you want to get some Saudi oil. because the stuff up north where you don't have to deal with the natives because we aren't a bunch of assholes who have religious fucked up shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
You had access to us, but you canceled us.
Yeah, then you decided to shit on that deal.
It's just these are
it's more about
warmongers. These
it's
are
more about the poppy seeds.
warmongers.
And when you look at it,
Mhm.
the safest way of transporting the oil,
Mhm.
or rather the far safer way of transporting the oil, let me phrase it that way, is using shipping, or using the pipeline rather than shipping lanes, because we've had a fuck ton more oil end up getting fucked up by oil tankers popping leaks than we have by pipelines popping
Hell,
leaks.
even going over by trains is still safer than by boat. And
Yep.
and for another thing, we're not attacking you guys.
No,
Yep.
I
The
can
most
explain.
important
I can
thing is
explain it.
Canada does not attack you. We don't have ideological
Well, not
reasons.
recently. Not
Well.
recently. But I can
Not since
explain
you burned
this.
the White
This is-
House.
This may be insulting to the women in the audience and to Jen, so please forgive me in advance.
I
But
listen to Reggie
when
Murphy.
you go out to dinner
Mhm.
with your lady friend and you say, okay, let's order, and you place your orders, and you say, hey, you sure you don't want to get a side of fries with that? She'd be like, no, it's okay, I don't want fries. I'm on a diet or whatever. I'll just eat this plain salad by itself, and it'll be fine. And so the food comes out, and she has her plain salad, and you have your burger with fries, and the little hand just starts coming across the table, just grabbing French fries. And you're like, hey, I would have bought you some French fries. And it's like, no, they taste better when I take them off your plate. That's the way the oil is. We like it better when we have to basically go get the oil from the Saudis. You guys are just too easy.
So what you're saying is we have to be a little bit more racy about it. Got it.
You have to
Play
be
a
a
bit
little more
more
coy.
coy.
You've got to play a little harder to get. If you guys
Okay,
started playing
listen,
harder
I
to
would-
get,
I
we
would-
would
I would-
invade you and make you into a state in no
I
time.
would try covering Trudeau in oil, but listen, that would just cause mass vomiting, and I don't think that's appropriate. But maybe
No.
if I send him to the Saudis afterward.
Don't cover
I
him
would
in
agree with
oil,
you.
cover him in one of the byproducts, cover him in tar, and then get the feathers ready.
But if it was covered in these weirdo seasonings, I don't know. It just, I mean, if it has a seasoning, I might have to dip it in like a blue ranch or blue cheese type of dressing. But I'm not a fan. So if we're talking about, wait, what are we talking about?
Apparently, you're talking about eating.
All I know is I
Trudeau.
did that reference to Irate Alex earlier today, and I might have gone with tartar sauce, so I'm not excusing myself at all for that one.
And that is the most proper way that I've heard someone say tartar sauce in goddamn ages.
She had her
In
pinky up and
tartar
everything.
Listen, he was giving me shit earlier because I couldn't say certain words properly, and I'm like, listen, I live in land where Calgary is an international city. Most of the people I talked to had an accent, but a lot of them didn't have British accents. It's actually kind of amazing.
Wait, I rate Alex to that?
Oh yeah, he gave me shit today. He was like, "How are you pronouncing words, Jen?" I'm like,
Fuck that
I don't
guy.
know. I love him. What are you
You're
talking about?
fucking British. These fucking Brits, these whiny motherfuckers, constantly trying to fucking have a
Well,
solid
he
communication. Get the fuck out of here. See, this is
Adding
why I like
music
America.
places.
to be fair, it's been like a year since he's heard me talk to him, so
Oh,
he's
no,
probably
well.
just more like, "Wow, I haven't heard." Because I'm always referred to as the happy Canadian by him,
Mhm.
so.
Even now, I'm giving him. I'd be giving him a goof.
Oh, you should. You should. Absolutely, everybody else does. So you should.
I mean, Chicago slang is probably the best type of lingo to go around. I hate to say it. I mean, it's better than, Brooklyn. It's better than, fucking West Coast. It's better than.
I'm
Like,
sorry, but
let's be
Chicago slang and Chicago language, if it had one, it kind of seems like, the tongue click language, only replace that with gunshots.
No, and
You know-
and one syllable, duh.
Yeah.
Duh,
You know
dis.
what's
Duh, dad.
You know what's
The does.
a shame about Chicago for me is I always figured that Chicago was the city of the blues. That was the picture I had in my head. The blues, like the music. Because there was so much
that
theater
Nolans
and
existed?
Well, they have a lot of jazz in Chicago.
Jazz,
They have some
jazz,
blues, but
yeah.
it's probably
Blues
more
do-
famous for Chicago style jazz.
I'm thinking of the jazz more than the blues.
I was just thinking,
It's just-
did you forget
I
Nolans
got them. I
and
got them backwards. I got them.
goddamn Alabama?
Well,
No, I was thinking
No, there is
jazz.
a Chicago style jazz.
No,
There's
yeah,
also
yeah,
New
yeah,
Orleans
there's-
jazz.
No, I
there's
meant
New Orleans,
blues.
and
But,
then
When
there's Chicago
she
blues
said
and
the
Chicago
blues.
jazz.
It's one of those things where, like, with all the violence that's in that city, I wouldn't want to go. Like, I would love to go for the music. I'd love to go to meet nice people, but because it's so violent, it's so scary from an outsider's
okay,
point of view.
hold on. Can I just
Mhm.
the stuff the violent stuff that's going on currently, and even back in the day, the violent stuff wasn't directly. I mean, it had its points in it, but it wasn't. It wasn't what made Chicago culture.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But and right now
That was
it just
mainly the
it's-
mob.
well, yeah. Let's not forget because we didn't even we didn't even talk about the mob.
What made Chicago culture? Mainly the mob.
Yeah, well, but it's one of those things where it's like you can't look at the negative aspects of the city culture and then directly
Well,
attribute it towards
It
what
completely
it's
changes what you do when you go on a trip when you're a foreigner. Because when you know about the city, you know where to go and where not to go. With me, it's more of like I have to circle it out and then I have to really figure out where I'm going because.
But if you avoid it entirely, you'll never get to see the mutant goldfish in the insanely polluted river.
well,
That giant shiny
yeah.
jelly bean thing.
Nowadays you gotta pinpoint where you're gonna go, and I guess the bean is nice to look at. It's
also scarier from the
strange.
outside looking in too. Like it's one thing if you go to meet people. Like if I went to go to Chicago, it'd probably be to meet people that I knew who were from Chicago. And that's different because now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well I'm with someone who knows what to do and who's going to be like, Jen, don't do that. That's naive. Don't do that.
See, you need to go visit. You need to go visit them and see the mutant goldfish, because that was the first experience that I had in Chicago that I remember. I was really young, and I remember going out, looking down into the river. There were a bunch of dead fish with bites taken out of them, and I was going, "The fuck is that?" And I saw a giant, three-eyed goldfish surface, and I've just assumed ever since then that goldfish was fucking eating the other fish.
No, it's a weird. It's weird.
Well,
But
wait a
hey,
second. We have to do the formal announcement, don't we? Because I think I told you before the show, but I don't think we mentioned it afterwards, that I found Nigel's corpse. Nigel is officially 100% dead.
Aw.
And
No.
Right.
I know. I figured he was gone a while ago. I just,
Yeah.
he didn't live he probably lived a fairly good life for a rat. And you know what?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Nigel. I'm sorry that you probably lost out on sex because your partner died, before you did. But hey, you
My
had
fault.
some nice raspberries. You had some really yummy raspberries, and you had a warm home.
Yeah, I think it's actually in the drinking game rules. I think it's a full shot when Nigel's death is announced. Or no, I think it's a chug. I think it's actually a chug. So
Hold on,
Well,
how important
all
was
jugs are
Nigel?
awesome.
Because if Nigel was very important, I'll take a double shot.
well, Nigel just has his own lore about him. You weren't here. He made his debut on Minions when I brought up Nigel Cam in my garage, and we caught him hopefully about to go into the trap. and
Rat
get
snuff
electrocuted.
film!
Yeah, and I said rat snuff film.
Okay. Maybe
That's
a
really
half-
the most important part of that entire thing was Harry shouting, "Rat snuff film!"
Well, I thought it was a pet that had passed.
Oh no, he got ratapulted. This thing actually had hit an electric trap twice and managed to not die. But the new trap that I bought did him in because it had actual infrared sensors that kind of like, when you go through the doorway and the bing goes off at the store. It has like infrared sensors to make sure he's all the way in the trap before it electrocutes him.
And we've been asked a question by Mr. Yes. What do we think of DC becoming the 51st state? It is an abomination, should not be allowed to happen.
It's not constitutional, and
Exactly.
I don't think it's going to happen. But
Not
if
gonna
they
happen.
want to play this game, what they could do, honestly, is they could just split California in half, and
Which
you
they
could make
should
a
do.
really good case for doing that.
Yep.
And that would give them two more. That would give them two more Senate beasts.
Depending on how they
if they were
split.
actually if they were actually trying to pay attention to demographics and stuff, California really should be divided into thirds. But in all likelihood, if you were to do that, the third piece would end up being red.
Yep.
And they have no intention of doing that. So they want to water down all those red votes outside of the big urban centers.
Yeah, they'd have to finagle how they split it.
Yeah. Well, they would just split it kind of down the middle. And they
I
would
would-
just they would take everything south of San Luis Obispo and make it Southern California, and everything north of it and make it Northern California.
I hate to say it, but I would think that the moment that happens, Oregon and and Washington, they both split, because the both of them, it really is a coastal versus inland type of situation.
Well, they don't have huge populations and a ginormous state. So
Or are
there's
you
really
saying that
there's no
it would-
reason for Oregon or Washington to split? But California
I
is
would-
so
I would- I
diverse
would-
that it
I
effectively
would say
is two states anyway.
They
Culturally,
may not have the population, but they would. I would
Are you
fathom
thinking like a
that
split and merge type
it would
deal?
start. That would be the start. If California did that, then that would prompt these two states to say, you know what, yeah, fuck that, we're gonna split too.
but it isn't just voluntary. That's the thing. They can't just keep dividing up states indefinitely. Like I said, you need some sort of rationale. In the case of DC, the rationale is, oh no, get our smelling salts. These people are underrepresented. And the answer to that is what a bunch of us have talked about, especially
Well-
Prospero. Just take most of that land that isn't government buildings and give it back to Virginia.
Yep.
Give
Virginia
back the land that
or
you
Maryland.
took. And look, now you've got a vote. Now you're part of Virginia. Because there's no reason for DC to be as large as it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you either
but-
stick
but
it in
that's-
Virginia
that's-
or you stick it in
that's-
Maryland.
that I would say that's different than a state splitting between itself.
Well,
Because DC, a few groups of people in DC who believe that they should be their own fucking city is not the same as a state that wants to split itself up.
well, okay, there's splitting to have expediency, right? So you get a couple more senators. But if you're looking at a state that has a reason to split, cultural differences, it's too big to govern effectively, just the whole list of things, I can't think of one other than California that makes sense to split. Now,
Though-
other ones South Dakota could just decide, I want 20 senators and divide itself into 10 pieces by the logic you're talking about.
Are you
Though
kidding?
I
There's
do
a
have-
lot of there's a lot of states in the West that would happily split themselves.
It's not
up.
about happily, it's about is there a reason for them to split?
It doesn't matter if there's reason. If
Well,
they
it kind of does.
if they want to go ahead and split themselves up and they vote themselves into it, that's what they're looking at. Would they do that, and would they have grounds to do that? That's another question.
It's not just up to them, though. That's why there has to be a reason. They don't get to just decide to split. The U.S. government, because it's a confederacy, has to accept the proposition as well.
See, just to comment on something that chat said, because I find it fucking hilarious. The idea of Texas splitting, you know that Texas, if it split, you'd have Texas 1 and Texas A. Because neither of them would change their name and neither would want to be anything lower than the primary.
Yeah, that
They
does
would
make a whole lot of
both
sense.
were-
But like I said, in California, you've got massively different culture between North and South.
Oh, yeah.
The big sticking point with California splitting would be water politics. And probably what would happen is there'd have to be some sort of treaty, and whatever water rights, which Southern California has that they really shouldn't have, would probably just continue in perpetuity.
Yeah,
Sort of like with what they have with Colorado.
I would find it slightly more amusing if they split and then North California went, by the way, this water's ours, fuck off.
Yeah, that would be the first thing they talked about at the meeting to figure out whether this was going to happen. Almost everything in California politics revolves around water.
Oh, yeah. And their unwillingness to do a lot of what they could in order to resolve the issues.
Well, they've done a hell of a lot. The basic problem is that the climate's just getting drier and there isn't enough water for all the things we want to do.
Well, you could do... It isn't efficient, and I know it isn't efficient, but efficiency has never been high on the list of California priorities. You could do a Israeli-like desalination.
And what makes you think we're not already doing that?
Not to the same scale.
Oh, we're doing it on a plenty big scale. And you're seeing more and more of it. The problem is we need so freaking much water that we can't leach it safely enough back out into the ocean. There's a limit to how much water you can take without basically killing off everything off the coast.
Yeah, you'd end up salt poisoning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, though it is a lot more expensive, but there are definitely communities in Southern California that have invested heavily in that. And there's a number in Central California and Northern California that are doing things like taking gray water, cleaning it up, and then pumping it back into the aquifer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of brackish water reclamation things. But I'm sure you don't want this to be the California water policy stream. But no, I'm just thinking the whole idea of DC being split up is stupid. The idea of splitting up California is marginally less stupid, but it's still basically stupid and it's probably not going to happen.
Yep.
Puerto Rico is the one that kind of scares me because they can make a much better case for that. But I think the people of Puerto Rico have a pretty sweet deal as it is, and I don't know why they would even want that.
The Puerto Ricans don't want to become a state most.
No, they don't. I think they're pretty happy with things the way they are if they could just not have corrupt government.
Which is something that seems to be beyond them at the moment.
Yeah, like Chicago.
Yep. Yeah, it still absolutely infuriates me. If the federal government had given resources to Puerto Rico, you mean like they did? No, they didn't. New stories start coming out months later about, hey, we keep finding all these supply warehouses that are completely full but have just been left to go to shit. No, the federal government never gave those supplies. Then where the fuck did these supplies come from?
Hold on, dude. This sounds like a big old fucking conspiracy theory. What are you gonna tell me that fucking aliens built the pyramids and the fluoride is turning the frogs gay?
That's borderline where they are with trying to explain how the federal government didn't give Puerto Rico the supplies that are known to be moldering within Puerto Rican storehouses throughout the entire area.
Dude, you say
how come there weren't Navy ships there waiting to help as soon as the hurricane left? Because they had to all go fuck off somewhere away from the hurricane so they didn't get destroyed.
Yep.
It's a Category 5 hurricane. You don't, even in an aircraft carrier, you just don't want to be there.
Yeah. Pretty much the only naval ships that could safely sit off the coast during that. Submarines.
Yeah, pretty much.
Turns out if you're deep enough in the water, shit doesn't matter. But yeah, it was absolutely fucking retarded that so many people were going, the federal government didn't send aid, despite all of the invoices saying, yeah, we sent this amount of water, we sent this amount of toilet paper, we sent this amount of other paper products, we sent this amount of medicine, we sent this amount of this, and all those documents were released. No, those documents are all fabricated. Hey,
the news
turns-
was trying to gaslight the hell out of everybody about it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, turns out that we found all the storehouses, and the storehouses have a shit ton of rotten and mold over paper products and medicine and water bottles that have gone to shit and have been in water bottles so long that they've leached chemicals into the water that makes them not safe to drink anymore. No, the federal government didn't give that. Where did it come from? Someone gave it to them. This all happened. It's all documented. We have the paper trail. We have the actual fucking evidence of all the resources being found in these goddamn storehouses that were just completely abandoned after getting the products in them.
Sanguine, I hear you, but do you understand that there was a cop that had his knee on the back of this dude for like 9 minutes? And this is something that we need to focus on, because even though all of that shit happened, this also happened, and we need to look at this. And
You mean the cop that there's body cam footage of him ordering the bus to come get them the moment that he started saying "I can't breathe"? Also has evidence that he requested to be taken out of the vehicle, has evidence of him kicking the officer behind him once he was brought out of the vehicle. Then they took him down to the ground. It had evidence that he was not kneeling directly on the neck, but instead on the shoulder blade. And also, this was all a procedure that had been taught to the police officers and had been used over 200 something times within that calendar year without any incidents other than this one, and used previous years without any incident. And then it showed that the officers did render CPR once they were in a situation that was actually safe in order to render CPR. You mean that situation? Also, I forgot to mention that the blood tox report came back with between 3 and 4 times the lethal dose of several different drugs.
I mean, everything you said is nice sounding, but the fact remains that this cop just let this dude die. I mean, that plus all the stuff that you brought up prior that's going on.
And did you guys see the video of the one woman bitching out at the cops?
Yeah, that was disgusting. That bitch is disgusting. And I do think people should go after her. And it's not because I believe in doxing, but because her behavior in front of a police officer was absolutely racist. And I wouldn't want that lady around children.
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, there's a body cam, or a bit of body cam footage that, interesting note on that. Do you guys know whether that body cam was something that was given out to the officers there, or whether that was a private investment?
I do, but that would be ruining the secret or the fun.
What body cam?
I'll call on you if no one else answers. The body cam footage, Adam, is I believe, sheriff's deputy. Was it a sheriff's deputy, Harry?
Yep.
Was it the one with the lady who
immediately starts
him a murderer?
Yep, starts calling him a murderer and starts calling him a Mexican racist, and tells him that he'll always be Mexican and he'll never be white.
Well, can I say this? I don't know if it would be considered levity, but the Jeep was actually established as a as a proactive deterrent for the desperados that were coming up from Mexico. So And I think it was, who was it?
You mean the vehicle?
Yeah, no, yeah, it was that, and it was jeez.
I was going to say, did somebody say we need something that that has a really rough ride that tips over easily
Well,
if you
no,
corner too quickly?
Because it was Pancho Villa was running his rounds in the South, and what the Americans did to counter it was to essentially, take vehicles.
After Ponchavilla declared his separation from the government and then tried to request aid from the U.S. government, the U.S. government eventually came back and went, we're going to decline that. So he decided to attack military installations in the South of America in order to gain the arms and armor that he wanted. And then the government responded by going, okay, yeah, fuck you. That the situation that you're referring to?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. And they needed a vehicle that was able to off-road
Because it wasn't.
well.
Yeah, it was like a extra light. I would say extra. This is a personal thing. Extra light cavalry. Extra light. Wow.
Cavalry.
Adam. Yes. So think of Echo Tees, but lighter. And these guys would go in there and be able to. It's high maneuverability, but they still have capabilities of armaments. And
they wanted a light, agile vehicle that could be taken off-road and be able to mount weapons on it. And their only requirement was that it was able to resist, I think, very small arms fire effectively.
Hold on. There was a general that came from that into World War II, wasn't there?
I'm trying to remember if it was that he... I'm trying to remember the exact time frame because I thought it might have been into effectively World War One or...
I think it was World War
One.
Yeah, because there was this, and then it led to, and the general used this, what he worked with this. Because
it was into World War One. And let me quickly double check. I think it might have been Blackjack ended up getting his name.
Ha! And you
Blackjack.
See, you know what? You fucking TikTok pieces of shit. Oh, I don't need to learn anything about anything that happened before my birth. Yeah, well, good. Remain dumb.
I think it might have been Blackjack Pershing ended up.
Pershing, yeah. General Pershing.
Yeah, old Blackjack Pershing. And
Alovich.
If I remember correctly, he was the one that was sent in order to... Let me quickly double check that. And... Yes, it was Blackjack Pershing. So, Ponchavilla at one point requested aid from America. America did render a small amount of aid towards the early part of Ponchavilla's expedition, which is also known as the Mexican expedition. And it was Pershing was sent down as part of that. They helped
John G. Pershing.
With the... Because there was the... trying to remember the name of the official that took over after the man that they just ousted, because it was Ponchavilla was against... It was the Portofino, right? That Ponchavilla was against. So they had ousted... what was the guy's name that started the Portofino? It's Port something. Whatever the fuck the dude's name was. They ousted him. They were able to get another man on the head of the Mexican government, and then that man was ousted by a military coup, but he was still alive, and if I remember correctly, it was Pancho Villa petitioned the American government to help him reinstitute that man. They successfully did that. Then the American government went, well, we did our job, and stepped back. And then it was Carranza was sent after Villa. Villa again petitioned the American government, and the American government at that point went no. So Villa tried to attack American bases in order to steal arms and armor. And the American government went, okay, now at this point, fuck you. And that was when it was Pershing versus Villa and Alvaro Obregón, something like that, if I remember correctly.
Do you see how this conflict spruced up? I mean, it wasn't something that just was like, England said, hey, I'm going to fight you, France. It's bullshit spiced up betwixt two governments. And then generals had to fucking deal with it.
Well, it functionally became between three governments.
Well, yeah, I mean, in this instance, yes.
Yeah, we've done that before too. We call it the Swiss Canal situation.
Oh, get out of here.
Well, listen, Canada used to be really big on the peacekeeping shit, and then Trudeau came along, and we were butt fucked. So we're no longer the peacekeeping country, But we used to be really big on that. We followed you guys around because that's what we did. You guys were basically the muscle because you are, and we would play in as the peacekeepers to try to be like the middle guys, like bring medical aid and support you. And then Trudeau was like, I'm going to follow in the footsteps of my papa, mein father, and then flip you guys off. And that's all he's really done. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. I'm not sure how to pronounce mein papa in Spanish.
I just looked it up. It was Porfirio Diaz, and it was the it wasn't the Portofino, it was the Porfiriato. That's what it was.
Why, look, darling, she cannot speak Latin. Wow.
No, I cannot. I just don't know a lot of Spanish, actually. I knew a guy who spoke Spanish because he lived in Los Angeles for a long time, and he thought it was funny to speak to everyone who looked like they were from
Well,
yeah.
You know me, and I can speak some Spanish.
You know how to speak some Spanish? Bonjour! That's as multicultural as I go. But I did say I did. I totally said "Sacre bleu" to Samuel, and it was great. Sacre bleu, Louis. And he was just like, Jen. Oh.
See, the only foreign language that I ever gained any sort of utility in was, at my best, I was able to reach borderline conversational in Mandarin.
Wait, borderline conversational in Mandarin?
Yes.
That's not bad. Okay.
Yeah, that would be a good public access show.
So I was able to carry on short conversations in Mandarin about certain topics. I wasn't able to do it about any topic. So I had the issue of my pronunciation was apparently too good for the amount of Mandarin that I knew. So when I was in China, I would end up talking to someone, and it would start off in the section of Mandarin that I knew, and then it would go into a section where I would know enough of the words, and I was good enough at piecing together the context to figure out the words that I didn't know, so I'd still be able to respond. And then it went to the point where I'd have to go, sorry, I just know a little bit of Chinese. and I'd have to then explain that.
Mhm.
So I'd have to wo hui yi dier shuo han yu. And even the way that I pronounce that, if anyone knows Mandarin and is familiar with the various dialects of Mandarin, yes, I did learn Beijing dialect Mandarin. And the giveaway for that was Yidiar rather than Yidian. Because Beijing dialect is kind of like anti-Bostonian. Bostonians completely ignore ours. Beijing dialect just throws them in at the end of words that don't have ours. So you end up with Yidiar rather than Yidian.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Yes says traditional or modern Mandarin.
I knew a couple modern, right, not more than a couple modern characters. I didn't learn traditional characters. And then, like I said, I learned Beijing dialect Mandarin, not tradition, or not, well, it's not traditional Mandarin. It's, there's a bunch of different dialects of Mandarin. There's, in fact, an obscene number of dialects of Mandarin. Like one of the ones that, to an outside ear, it is not Mandarin, but it's technically Mandarin, is there's a dialect that's just known as Shanghainese. And to give you an example of one of the major differences, if I remember correctly, Shanghainese, for some reason, substitutes the word for I. So in standard Mandarin, it's wo. And in Shanghainese, if I remember correctly, they substitute it with the word for two, but not the word for two as in counting two, but the word for two as in two of something. So it ends up substituting wo for liang. So it makes absolutely no fucking sense unless you already know Shanghainese. Because you're going to... Why are you saying two? No, you mean... The fuck?
Yeah. I don't know why, but my brain went somewhere else entirely. I was still thinking about French, and then I was thinking, there's one of the things on my list of reasons why I hated JPF was because his French is wrong. He didn't sound Quebecois for me. I was always like, you fake French man. Speak like Jean Chrétien. If you do not speak like Jean Chrétien, you are not real Quebec to me.
And Mr. Yes, you're incorrect in that. Simplified is a writing system. Traditional is also a writing system. It's the complexity of the characters. The different... So, pretty much every Chinese language is able to be written in both simplified or traditional characteristics. The languages that take place within China are ridiculously varied because every subculture within China has at least one language. So, for instance, there's, 46 different documented subcultures within China, each of them with their own interesting stereotypes. Perhaps my favorite is there's one group of people, if I remember correctly, it's the I want to say it's the I. It might be the I Chung, something like that. I know that they have I in their name. And they are apparently traditionally very skilled blacksmiths. They also have one of the weirdest write-ups that I've ever seen of one of the major Chinese government here's our subculture sites. And it was that this group of people are known to be extremely talented blacksmiths, but unusually, they're also known to be very polite and friendly. Which makes it sound like blacksmiths in China are just known to be completely irascible assholes. That's the only way that sentence makes any sort of sense to me. They're rather spectacular blacksmiths, but they're also rather polite and kind. The fuck? That's a weird stereotype, China. How the fuck are you going to make that the stereotype of a people?
Sounds
But-
kind of weird, like token-esque, like
Mhm.
the doors of the Iron Forge were they're pretty nice, you know.
Like I said, it's just this. How the fuck do you have? Yeah, they're known to be really gifted blacksmiths. Also, contrary to popular belief, they aren't a bunch of assholes. What? Are blacksmiths normally assholes? What? What are you trying to say, China? Does this mean? Make this make sense. Please, make this make sense.
You know, it's maybe not so much that their blacksmiths are assholes, but maybe their blacksmiths just understand the value of money and what they do. So maybe they just charge for their money's worth.
Yeah, but that
Because in
wouldn't make
China,
them
it's
impolite.
business, you know. In China, it's business, right? So.
But that wouldn't make them impolite. That would just make them doing business rather than being impolite. The fact that they had to specifically say, contrary to popular belief, they're actually rather polite and kind, makes it sound like the standard blacksmith is a rude prick.
Yeah. You go away. No ticket, no fire poker.
Maybe somebody made a really nice donation to the Communist Party, and they were just part of the blacksmith group, and they're like, well, they were really, really polite.
Maybe, but yeah. So they have very weird stereotypes of the various cultural groups. But like I said, every cultural group within China has at least one language, with a number of them, especially the Man, having several, because of course Mandarin is one of the Man dialects, or Man languages rather. But there's also one of the other main languages of China, and is the official language of Taiwan, if I remember correctly, is also a Man language. Anyone care to guess what that one is? I'll give you a hint. Kung Fu movies.
Shaolin?
Now, think the area that the Kung Fu movies are made, not the martial art.
Ah, okay. Well, I thought we were playing word association. I don't remember.
Yeah, you're good. I still floated back to JPF because I'm still torn over this fact that he comes from Quebec, but he still felt the need to cross the border to find a mental midget. I'm like, dude, you're from Quebec. You're surrounded by mental midgets.
Yeah, and they probably just make the Kung Fu movies in Toronto now anyway, like everything else. So
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Cantonese is the language.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep going there. It's just I don't even know why I keep thinking of him. I just want to tell him to his face.
you do have an issue here, I think.
Why is it
You
gotta
need
be
to find a way to
mental?
work it out.
Yeah.
Cantonese is also amusing because of its name in Chinese. So every language, or the standard way of talking about a language in Chinese, you stick the word "yu," which means language, at the end of it. So Yingyu is English. Hanyu is Mandarin.
Ni hao.
And the word for Cantonese is Yueyu, which is just fun to say. Yueyu.
Yeah,
And
I'm very
that's
bad at
Cantonese.
that morning greeting. I tried really hard because I was in a kitchen that was half Chinese, and every once in a while I'd say Gesundheit, and they'd look at me like I was saying something and making up words. And
Your ni
ni
hao was
hao,
not.
ni hao.
Yeah, your ni hao was not that bad.
It's the Tosun that I suck at because it's supposed to be Josun, and I'm like Tosun.
hmm And then there's ni hao ma, which is another standard way of greeting someone. It's technically asking, "How are you?" while also saying hello. And then there's also the other way of asking someone how they are, which confuses people when you give them the direct translation. So, like I said, nihama literally translates into, hey, how you doing? And then the other way of kind of communicating the same thing is churlama. And churlama, if you translate it directly, it means, have you eaten? So if someone asked, hey, Jen, have you eaten? How would you normally respond?
Hi. No, I'd say yes.
Okay, you'd say yes?
Yeah.
What if it's been
I was being
hours
sarcastic
since...
before, sorry.
What if it's been hours since your last meal? And they asked, have you eaten? Or you're planning on going out to dinner with someone. And they say, hey, how you doing? Have you eaten?
Whoopee.
And you're planning on going to dinner. Would you say, yes?
Yes.
Or would you say, no, I've not eaten?
No, I've eaten. I'm good.
Okay, you're actually responding the right way every time. So the confusing thing about churlama is you could have planned to go out to dinner with someone, and they will come up to you as you're about to go into the restaurant, and they'll ask, churlama? And if you say, no, I've not eaten, they'll leave. Because while the question literally means, have you eaten? What it really means is, how are you doing? And the way that you say, I'm doing well, is, yes, I've eaten. The way you say, I'm doing really shit, please leave me alone, is, no, I've not eaten.
And I'm just like, yes, yes, yes.
So you could be standing outside of a restaurant, about to go in with the person that's invited you out to dinner. They'll ask, have you eaten? And if you say, no, I've not eaten, thinking, we're outside of the restaurant, we're about to have dinner. It would have been rude for me to eat before we go to have dinner. They'll take it as, oh, okay, have a good one. Sorry to bother you. And just leave.
Wow, that
I love
seems
unintentionally being a troll.
unnecessary, to be honest.
I was also having a moment there. I was kind of giving that BuzzFeed guy, the evil stink guy, the bitchy one who is like, if you're not going to speak to me in full Chinese, then don't bother with the greeting. I'm like, listen, dude, if I'm greeting somebody, it's your grandmother. And it's not because I'm trying to impress her. It's mostly because I like to think that trying really hard to greet somebody in their language with enthusiasm and integrity is friendly.
Yeah.
It's my way of greeting your grandmother and showing respect to her because I want to reach out and genuinely say hello. And it's practicing because I know I'm probably shit at it. I know I'm probably shit at it. But your grandmother, on the other hand, is going to see that for what it is. And that's rare. Now, I'm not saying some people aren't shit at it and it's kind of annoying. But it's different for your grandmother because your grandmother might have crossed the river and the people that she might have dealt with during her life might have been racist. I don't know.
Also, it is one thing if you do it as kind of like a, hey, first time I'm meeting you, ni hao. And it's another thing if after the person then responds, oh, hello, how are you doing today? You then, well, han hao. If you continue with the language after they've responded in English, then yeah, I can kind of grant you. This person might be a bit of a dick. But if they, upon meeting you, knowing that you're Chinese, knowing that you speak Chinese, decide to, no, that's not a dick move. That's someone trying to be just friendly. Like I said, the thing is, if it's after you've responded in English, they continue to, every time that you respond in English, respond in your native tongue. And it isn't kind of like a, hey, you practice your language, I practice my language. Let's have fun with this. Because I've done that. I did that while I was in China the second time. I had just this random family of people asking or come up and ask if they could take a picture with me. I said sure, and then they took pictures and started talking to me, and they started saying how their daughter was trying very hard to learn English, and I told them, oh yes, and I'm trying rather hard to learn Chinese, and the daughter said something to me in English, and I then responded in Chinese, and we just started having a back and forth where she would be practicing English, and if she said something that was just a bit off, I'd correct the English, and I'd respond in Mandarin, and if I said something a bit off, she would correct my Mandarin, and it was just a back and forth for a bit while we both waited for a ferry.
It's a nice thing to do, and it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's
even if the dialect is understandable twixt the two, I still wouldn't suffer slights.
You know, there's a way about going about it.
I will tell them, stop. You still gotta have some sort of standing for yourself. I mean, shit. You can't sit there and them disrespect you and then just rub it off as, well, that's just how they present. Well, fuck how they present themselves. That is insulting. You don't have to deal with that shit. But what the fuck are you? What? Come on.
Wait, Adam, who assaulted you?
I think it's it was my thing. I was remembering something one of the BuzzFeed guys did like back in 2016.
Wait, holy shit! Is there another person?
Yep.
Yeah, Jenna,
It's me.
Hi, Jenna.
Oh my
Hi.
god! There's another person on this fucking. Oh my god!
I don't know if you ever watched the BuzzFeed shit, because I never watched them personally. I just watched the responses to them. But it was just this one guy who was mad at people for greeting him in his language. And it's just like, listen, if I was in the US and I was greeting somebody who was clearly Chinese, I might ask first before greeting them in their language. I'd be like, listen, I've learned how to say this before, and I think it's really friendly to say it to somebody, you know, and it's a good way for me to practice. And maybe they'll teach me an extra word or two, you know, but I wouldn't be shy of saying it, because I think that's more rude to moderate what people can and can't say. And be honest, I think it's more fun for young people to get along with people that way. And I guess it's just I've had a lot of really good interactions with my Chinese community, because I've always just been respectful to the elders. And you know what? That as far as the Chinese are concerned, as long as you're respectful to them, they're really nice people.
And like I said,
You realize everything that I said, everybody else would have fucking said it in their own fucking dialect. They would have said, hey, you know what? If I'm speaking a Mayan dialect and you didn't respect my fucking stance on it, I would have a standing on it. Like it's Jesus. Yeah, I didn't know we had a fucking fifth person here. No.
Sorry.
Right, hold on. Now I gotta hold on. Let me.
Are you flustered?
I need to. Yeah. No. Now I gotta rearrange everything here. Hold on.
What do you mean you have to? Adam, it's not like I'm moving in with you.
You're moving in? Oh my God, she's moving in.
Do you know how many children that would entail?
We gotta have children too.
Well, not you having children with her, but if she moved
Yes,
in, how
Adam.
many children?
You and I
There
are
would be-
gonna have passionate make a baby sex.
Okay, hold on. I'm
She's
She's
gonna
down.
leave the
I
old
had
kids
to-
at home, and she'll pick up a few new ones on the way to
Yeah,
your
but
place.
I was under
You
the
have how
impression
many-
that you were
hold
one of
on.
her children too. Like, doesn't Jenna tend to adopt everybody? That's really awkward.
Okay,
Jenny
wait.
hasn't adopted him yet.
I
look,
never
look.
have offered.
Hey,
I'm
look,
letting him
I'm-
borrow my daughter's. What?
Look, I'm 100%. I'm not taking care of anybody else's children. If we're gonna be children making thing, we're 100%. Okay. In terms of yeah, no adoption. Look, I'll toss some money, but I'm not gonna fucking look. God damn it.
We haven't even discussed bridal price or
Yeah, there should be a
Anything
dowry.
Sorry.
yeah.
Oh, wait,
the
wait,
dowry,
wait,
the
wait.
bridal
And since you're
price.
from Chicago, you're probably going to pay in hot dogs and Goose
Oh,
Island
jeez.
beer or something.
Oh,
Goose Island beer. What do you think about? I'm some fucking uptown.
I think you're
fucking
made of beer money.
goofy fucking Pilsner.
Good
Like,
thing
oh,
I'm
dude, I
Mormon
gotta
because
have
I
a.
already have a husband.
Yeah, and I think in a fight you might lose. The last
Yeah,
people who got into a fight
no,
with him, I think one of them was in a coma for 2 weeks, wasn't he?
Yeah. A little bit of brain
That's,
injury.
see,
one to
see.
grow on
I'm
from the
gonna
Minions.
go
Don't get
with
in a
my
fight with,
adoption theory. See, here's what happens: Jenna P moves in with you, Adam, and then she adopts you, and then instead of getting a whole bunch of children, you're gonna have a bunch of step siblings.
Wait,
Yeah.
And then she's gonna
So,
she instead of asking
more
you for money,
importantly,
she's gonna be like, "I want free babysitting from you, Mr. Adam."
How did I get tallied with all these kids? What the
wait,
fuck?
how did dude, I thought we were just having sex and making a kid, but apparently I have to adopt you, and I'm pretty sure there's no sex then.
That,
right,
Yeah, that
right?
seems well.
But then you get free
Unless
labor. You get free
you
labor from
become
what is
a Jewish
you know.
comedian. I think that's probably illegal. But if you
I
become
don't-
a Jewish
maybe-
comedian, and especially if your name happens to be Woody Allen, then after a few years, someone will forgive you for the fact that your adopted
Okay.
child's retainer fell out of your pants.
Oh, Lord. Well, first of all,
I kid.
Jen, I don't make my older kids raise my younger kids. They're my kids, so they're my responsibility.
Well, that's good.
So Adam wouldn't have the responsibility of taking care of the children. May I ask him to babysit on a Friday? Maybe. But
See, I
that's
totally
like
know
for
what
a
that's like.
movie and dinner.
I make my mayonnaise from scratch. Same thing.
What? What?
I know better than what.
I don't want kids and I don't want mayonnaise. Okay? Like, Jesus.
Wait, what?
Harry, if having
Holy
kids and you
shit.
making mayonnaise are at all a
I'm doing
similar
money.
process, I do not want any sandwiches with
No,
mayonnaise. from
she
you.
said that she raises her own kids. She doesn't just have the older kids do it for her. And I said, I make my own mayonnaise. Totally the same thing.
I get that, but it's more funny to say what I said.
And
Yes,
you
it
know
is.
what? And you know what? You people can go explore the comparisons and differences betwixt multiple children and mayonnaise. And you know what? I'm gonna go over here and say, you know what? What the fuck is going on? How the hell did we get to
Adam,
this point?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I blame Jen.
I
Yeah.
thought it was high.
It really
Sometimes
depends on if
it's
you
not
know
just
if you know how mayo is made, then
don't
you
wanna know how
understand
mayo
that
is
this image of Harry whipping up some eggs with some oil in it to make some mayo is really
You gotta-
funny. Because
you
I know
gotta
you
get
mean,
a
I know you mean the
person-
alternate meaning, but I did have that image
Yeah.
in my head.
A
A
hairy
big
person
whiskin. A big
wicking-
whiskin.
Yeah, with his eggs and oils, and you know what?
Yeah.
That's
See, just to add to the insanity of this conversation, this entire
it's only
time,
Wednesday, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
because, yeah.
This entire time, I've had "Wreck of a Mech" playing in my head ever since this conversation began.
I
don't
was
even
thinking
know
of
what's
Adam
happening.
taking care of all of his stepbrothers and sisters, and they'll
How do
say,
I
"Where
have
did we come from,
stepbrothers?
Adam?"
Wait,
And
no,
then Adam's
first.
going to say, "Sometimes when two people don't love each other nearly enough."
Okay, wait.
We make
First of all,
mayonnaise. Yeah, that's what we're
somehow
gonna say.
it went from Adam saying if it's in, it's all in.
What the
I'm
fuck?
talking about, and then Jen making me adopt Adam, which is really gross. I can't sleep with him, then adopt him.
Yeah, can
Like
we,
I said, Woody Allen adopted and then slept with.
I was
But
trying to
what
give
if-
you guys an out so that you didn't have to actually sleep with them. That way you don't have to like cheat on your husband and you just pick up another child.
And
We
Adam
don't
doesn't
have
And I'm
get
not
dead.
saying you need to make
we
him
don't have to
do
do
it. I
anything.
was
But why
What do
do
you
I
think?
have to adopt every person I meet? I don't
That's
do
a good
that.
question. Why do you?
We can't just make
don't.
mayonnaise.
I do not adopt every person I meet.
Just most of them.
As I've said, Jen looks at children, or Jenna looks at children like most people look at Pokemon.
But Mr. Adam, let's be real. The one day that you say, "Well, yes, Mom," to Jenna P, she's gonna slap you with that paper that's reserved for Prospero. We both know it.
Yeah, corner. She should actually. Jenna should
What?
be telling us all to get in the corner by now.
Hold on. What?
She's gonna send you to her.
Hold on. Mister, I know it's a fucking joke. I'm not a
I'm kidding.
retard.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I don't appreciate Mister being a Mr. Ass.
Though I do have to congratulate you, Jenna. You pronounced a word with 2 R's and pronounced both of them.
Which word was it?
Retard.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Retard.
Yeah, she said both of the R's rather than
She didn't say
dropping them.
retard.
Yeah.
Look.
When
Look,
I say it,
I
I say
think-
it with passion.
It's wicked
Look,
retard.
I think it's. I've said it multiple times before. My heart belongs to one redheaded lady, and that's it. Okay, so
It's okay, Adam. I am actually okay with not having a physical relationship with you. And
Well,
I'm
don't
okay
you
with
owe
not
me a dune
adopting
buggy?
you. But I'm good with us
Mhm.
being friends.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd be friends.
That's
with you.
right.
See,
Meeting
and
cheer once-
we came to the peaceful position because I was
But
just
we were
I was
already
joking.
friends.
Yeah. See, that's good.
Jen, you're a troublemaker.
I am a
Once
troublemaker.
a year, you can meet underneath.
All
the
of
beam.
you, no, all of you are troublemakers. How did we even get here? I thought we were talking.
What?
We were talking.
Adam, this isn't my fault. Jen, to the corner.
No, I agree. We were on like a specific, I would say a very important discussion. I mean, this was like life and death type of stuff, like government official stuff. And all of a sudden they.
Oh, I know where it went wrong when you said, now I have to rearrange things because there are 5 people. And I said, it's not like I'm moving in with you. That's where it went wrong.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think you're right because I was shocked. I was shocked too with the inclusion of this new person. I mean, I was. Hey, I'm still kind of scared. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
So-
sorry. I do have a little bit of a medical laugh going on here, and I was enjoying that. I do have this little story though. This little quick story. I might have done something similar. I might have done something similar to this poor kid like a couple months ago because he kept sucking up to this girl in chat in the middle of gaming. Like he'd be like, "Oh, Heaven, can you help me go get this?" And he was kind of a mooch about it. So I started calling her Big Sister Haven. So, hey, Big Sister Haven, are you going to go help? You're going to go help this kid so he can go get his shit? And she played into it too. She was just like, yeah, he's kind of been mooching off of me. So I went really hard onto it.
Did anyone else notice the fucking weird accent that she went into when she first started the Big Sister Haven?
She's from the sorry, I had to stop for a second. Breathing is very important. Oh good God, she's
Weirdo part of Canada, right? Or
oh
something?
God, she's not Canadian. No. She's
The accent that you went into was borderline Hans and Franz.
It was supposed to be. It was supposed
Okay.
to be. She's not German though. The thing is, she's from I'm just having a
Austrian?
blank moment. She's not.
Bulgaria?
She's one of those Viking countries, but she's not Norway, and she's not Sweden, and she's not Finland, and the other one.
She's one of
Denmark?
them rating fuckers, but
Denmark?
you know.
Is she
Denmark.
a
Thank
Dane?
you. Sorry, yeah, she's a Dane. Sorry, I had a moment there. I was just like, "Where the fuck you from, Haven? I love you. You're adorable."
I met Haven. Well, she didn't speak, and I had no idea she was foreign. But I spoke. I was
Yeah,
hanging
she's-
out in Eve's thingy because I just needed some giggles, and
Yeah, I
the
just
group
went
of
into
them
this.
make me giggle. And
Yeah.
Haven was on, and she did speak. She was like, "I have to go to bed," but it was
Yeah,
not,
she's a sweetheart. She's an
American.
absolute sweetheart. But
She
she's
seems it.
but yeah, I went into this full like Dutch sounding shit because I was self-projecting Hitalia, and I was going with the Sweden, you know, the the girl from Luxembourg whose big brother is Sweden, and so I was like, big brother, big sister Haven, would you come save me from the wolves up in the north so we can go get some metal?
Nice.
Yeah, it's an anime thing, Jenna. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't know though.
Because Greenland isn't part of. You know what, Mr. Yes? Stop sucking up to Susan. Stop telling me I don't get stuff, and stop trying to. First of all, Greenland isn't green. I think I
Listen, I don't necessarily approve of bullying, but I do approve of pointing out when people are being shitty. So if I think somebody's kind of being a little bit off, or like, you know, they need a little bit of a nudge to remind them that, like, you know, you shouldn't use your friends in that way, I will take the piss out of you.
See,
Oh fuck! Hold on. That sits right in line with what I said earlier. That these people who sit there, and these goofy young people who are like, "Oh, dude, Tim Burton, did he do Batman?" It's like, bro, just Google it real quick, and then you don't like. Nobody's saying that you can't have that thought, like, "Oh, did Tim Burton?" No, but don't post it publicly. Yeah, just
and I have to say,
control yourself.
Tim Burton did the best looking version of Gotham.
No, he didn't.
It was
Tim Burton
fucking
did
insane. It was amazing.
Nothing but giant statues.
Exactly. I fucking love giant
Which Batman
statue
did Tim
Gotham.
Burton direct?
The Tim Burton series. It
I was trying to figure out, like, could you imagine working
That's
like
the British director, right?
He did the one with the Arnie Dr. Freeze.
Hold on, Tim Burton's British?
Isn't he married to Helena
I thought he was
Bellatrix?
an American.
He's married to Helena Bonham Carter, and he's friends with Johnny Depp, who he always has murder his wife on screen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that says about him, but
Hold on. Did Tim Burton do Fear and Loathing?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I love the 90s Batman cartoon. That's pretty much why I know as much about Batman as I did, because I watched it so much. I don't remember most of the other series, you know, or the, you know, I remember the movies, but not as fondly as I do the cartoon, because the drawings were unique.
Wait, which cartoon? The Bruce Timm cartoon?
The 90s Batman, the Tim Burton's 90s Batman cartoon.
Animated.
I have no idea either.
It was animated. It was animated. It was
Batman
animated.
the Animated Series.
Mm-hmm.
So it was animated.
Yeah, that's the one where Mark Hamill voiced the Joker.
Okay, yes. Bruce Timm.
It's just
animated.
I remember the style being very
Isn't that
unique for.
Shut up.
Skywalker?
Well, it's like I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm looking at it like, because, you know, there's that Batman, and then there was a later Batman animated series that Cartoon Network did, where he had a blue and black tint to him.
Mm-hmm.
There was Batman the Animated Series, and then there was the New Adventures of Batman, I want to say.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them, but that's what I mean. Like, I look at it like again, like, hey, digging back to what we talked about earlier, the Fletcher brothers Superman. You know, that's different from the DC Superman that they did in like just the new Justice League, which came out.
I feel like the problem with Superman is the same problem they're always going to have. And the problem is that they're stuck on the origin theme because they're always hoping that they're going to get more than one movie.
Well,
And
like I said, with
Yeah.
Superman, the issue is that they keep on trying to stress the fact that he's an alien.
Well, there's
That's
that.
where they go wrong every single time. You could do an origin story for Batman, or for Superman rather, and not have that he's an alien. He's so different from us because he's really an alien. Did I tell you that he's an alien? He's not from this world. He's actually a superhuman alien.
But the
And
point is,
I thought he was an alien.
But like, how far past the origin story have we really gotten with Superman in comparison to Batman?
Not
I
far.
mean, if you really compare the two, like Superman barely gets past like what movie 3 or 4 from the originals.
Well, okay. In that aspect, couldn't we do the same viewpoint for the Flash, with Barry Allen getting electrocuted and having like a couple of chemicals injected into him so that he can get, delve into the Flashpoint, and then it's just one of those things where it's like, dude, origin stories. That's
Like, I get the need to introduce a character, but like,
well, I would say personally, the issue is that we're dealing with a lot of writers that want to establish themselves. So
yeah.
instead of just, hey, this is what happens to get the character moving, they want to sit there and be like, hey, look it, my name is yada yada yada, and I'm crafting this origin story for this character. And this is where the issue comes from. Because again, this going back to the Tim Burton Batman. Tim Burton didn't craft Batman, but we know Tim Burton's Batman because of his movie. And that's the issue. But again, when you look at Tim Burton's Batman at the 89 Batman, right? It wasn't the origin was like a couple minutes. It wasn't really long. It wasn't.
Here's a show I haven't thought of in years because I honestly never watched it because they perfumed it a little bit too much for me. But Smallville, like I don't know that I remember Smallville being necessarily about him being an alien until later.
No, it was about
Like when he started. Yeah, because when he started off, he was Clark Kent when he started off. As far as I'm concerned, he was like the kid in high school.
Yeah.
And
it was him dealing with being part of Smallville.
That's where they keep fucking up the origin of Superman, because they make the origin of Superman all about Krypton and Krypton dying. If you want to tell the origin of Superman, the way it should start is you should start on Earth. Ma and Pa Kent talking about how they wanted a child, but it's time to give up the hope. It doesn't look like they're actually going to have a child. And then you cut ahead to a month after that conversation. And Ma and Pa Kent are now raising a tiny little baby.
Yep.
And then you skip ahead to the future by, let's say, 5-10 years. And it's Pa Kent pulling Clark aside and going, look, you're stronger than a lot of kids your age. You need to be careful. And you need to look after the others because you're able to take care of yourself better than they are. So help them. Don't be a bully. Don't try to lord over them, but actually help them.
Shit. Are you telling me that you're expecting them to establish a story, maybe a series, a TV series, where a father teaches a son to be a good?
Yeah, you could do it as a TV series, or like I said, you could have just the very beginning of the movie. The first, let's say, 10-15 minutes of the movie, that's normally the introduction, be this scene of Mom, Pa Kent talking about wanting children and having to give up, and then suddenly they have a child, and then it's Mom, Pa Kent, just little snapshots of them raising this boy, and instilling in him the look after others. You're strong. That means use your strength appropriately. It doesn't mean be a dickhead. It doesn't mean that you're allowed to hurt people. It means that, have the ability to act in ways that other people aren't able to. So do so in order to benefit others.
The issue I see with it, and I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but at this point in our timeline that we see ourselves in right now, is that there's no race or gender injected into this.
Yeah.
So the very core of just being a good person, just supporting the people around you, helping the people around you, that falls to the wayside because you're not focusing on, you're doing that because of your gender or because of whatever identity. And this is, I think,
that's where I think a lot of the stories end up getting poisoned, because we have this idea of race and gender and your makeup being so important on who you are. So what's the way in order to tell that story when it comes to Superman? Well, clearly you stress the nature of Superman over the nurture of Superman. In order to stress the nature of Superman, you have to make it so that he's from this proud alien race, and look how much like his father, his real father, not that fucking fake on Earth Pa Kent, but his real father, Jor-El, who was also this smart and noble man. Look how much Superman takes after Jor-El, and all the things that make Superman important and impressive, and what makes him a hero is his alien lineage, and that's not what it is. That's never been what it is. But because we're stuck in this fucking idea that your biology determines in large part who you are, in a way that there's a lot of people that are more the nature versus nurture side that are still looking at this going, okay, you're taking that a bit too far. Because I'm kind of that smack dab in the middle version of nature nurture, because I've always been the person who says, look, when you're talking about the best people in something, it's a blend of nature and nurture. It's the person who was born with the proclivity and aptitude, and then also had the training. Did you
just make Superman have pronouns to his name?
Well, that's functionally what they're doing, only rather than stressing pronouns, they're stressing the race that he is, and his race is Kryptonian, not human.
Oh yeah, let's face it, in 2021, even the most uneducated comic book, movie, whatever you want to, because it did start from a comic book, I think. Yep. Possibly. I don't know. Knows that Superman is an alien. We get it. We know it. And for what it's worth, it actually doesn't even need to be mentioned, because, dude, everybody knows.
Yeah, so the wedge that they're able to drive is that race wedge of making the most important thing about his character be that he's Kryptonian. When no, the most important thing about his character is that he's Clark Kent, the son of Ma and Pa Kent. He's a farm boy that has these powers, and because he was raised by good people, and because he was taught their values, and he took on their values because they're his only parents, he's now a extremely moral person that does what he does because, unlike every other just salt of the earth farm boy or salt of the earth plumber's son or insert just standard goddamn middle American job person, unlike them, he has the power.
Dude, it's
Could I just say
pretty much
that?
like
Let Adam finish, and then you can say.
Yeah.
I'll be really quick. It's pretty much like the Captain America thing. It's Steve Rogers. Like, why is Steve Rogers Captain America? It's not because his super soldier serum or he do all this stuff. That's part of it, but a major part of it is because he's willing
He's just that good.
He's willing to stand up and fight when he's not able to win. Like he's still willing to sit there and say, you know what, but I need to stand and fight.
Yeah, the difference between him without the super serum and after the super serum is he's more capable of doing what he would do anyways.
He just has more ability to change the outcome.
Yeah. Like I said, he's able to do what he would try to do anyways. That's the difference. He would take the same actions. The only difference is that without the super serum, he wouldn't succeed. But he would still throw himself into the fight because it is right for him to throw himself into the fight. He would still try to defend people because it is the right thing for him to try to defend people. And this is one of the things that drives me crazy. Have any of you seen the Winter Soldier and Falcon series that they put out? They tried desperately with music cues and the way that the main characters interact with this one character to make you hate this one character. But when you actually sit down and you think about the character, he's the best fucking person. He is obviously the right and proper heir of Captain America. The dude is a 3 times Medal of Honor recipient and has just thrown himself into danger in order to save other people time and again. And in the show, one of his friends gets murdered by someone. And he has a chance of chasing down the person and getting vengeance, or saving I think it was armored car full of people that were about to fall off. I can't remember what it was. It was like a bridge or some shit like that had collapsed. And he has that choice. And it would be so easy for him to go, nope, I'm going after the person who killed my friend because fuck them, they took my friend away from me. And they could leave these people to die. But what that character did was, not only did he stop to save those people, but he realizes that he can't just save them with grabbing onto it with one arm and trying to pull it up. So he drops Captain America's shield and grabs on and hauls them back to safety. So this thing that he is throughout the show shown to have an immense amount of respect for, he decides that his respect for it isn't as important as saving people. And his vengeance isn't as important as saving people. That's a fucking properly heroic moment.
Yes.
And in goddamn anything else, it would be shown as being properly heroic. That this man pretty much went, fuck my vanity, people need me. So it would be heroic in any other respect. The show made it that an act of, yeah, it's kind of brave, but he was doing the wrong thing. I don't get how they tried to ever come up with the idea that that would be the wrong thing, but they tried to make it seem as if that was the wrong action. And in another instance, he's chasing down someone that has been helping out in terrorist attack after terrorist attack, helped kill his best friend and all kinds of shit. He tries to get the guy to surrender. The guy keeps on refusing to surrender, keeps on fighting back, is trying to get away, and he knows that if this guy gets away, he's going to continue helping out in these terrorist attacks that are killing people. So he has a choice to make. He could stop this man, and the only way that he can stop the guy is probably going to kill him, or he can let the man get away. So he stops him. And they treat that as if that was some monstrous turning point of him clearly going evil. And I'm going, what the fuck?
That's not evil.
No. They keep doing this this thing with the train. You know that old philosophy or that old question, like, who would you save? Yeah, who would you save? Would you save the one dude or would you save the 4 dudes?
Yeah.
The 4 dudes.
They want.
Wait, isn't this the Joker where it's you either save Batwoman or Robin?
Yep, so the trolley problem, for those who don't know what the trolley problem is, imagine that you're at a train station, or a trolley station is the standard way, but fewer people have been at trolley stations. So either way. And imagine that you're looking down on the track, and there's a split track, and you're standing right in front of the lever that controls the split track. So, down the track from where you're standing, on track A, there's 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's steep embankments on either side, so those people are down on the track, and it will take them time in order to get to where they would be able to get off the track. And they're too far away for you to just yell down at them, hey, get off the track.
Mm-hmm.
On track B, there's 1 person. Same deal, steep sides. The chance of them getting off the track in a timely manner, virtually nil. So, you have this setup. Everyone can imagine that, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you look down the other way. The line leading up to this split in the tracks. And when you look down the other way, you see a train coming, and the other people can't see the train. So you have control of the lever. If you don't do anything, 5 people will die. There's no way for it to stop. Or you can flip the lever. And if you flip the lever, 1 person dies. That's the trolley problem. What do you do? There's another version of it where it's the similar situation, only instead of it being a split in the tracks, there's just some absolute morbidly obese orca that is sufficiently heavy to stop the vehicle. And why can't the train stop itself, Mr. Yes? Trains take fucking forever to stop. So it takes a long time. The run-up for it to stop is too short.
The problem...
The
problem with these guys is they take the ideology even further, because I think the thing that they're trying to get at is that Superman or superhero guy should be able to save everybody. And the thing is the problem is there are situations where even a superhero can't save everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? You might have to make that decision. And a lot of people who are military men have to make that decision. Do I sacrifice 1 person, and it's a horrible thing to make a decision on, and save a whole lot of people? Or do I just?
Yep, and
Can
it's
I just
something-
really quick?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's why I don't like. After I think it was Man of Steel,
Mhm.
that a lot of people were like, "Whoa, what about all the people that were, blah, blah." Fuck off, like straight off, fuck off. I hate this argument. I hate and anybody who comes up and steps up to the plate with this. It's like, dude, go suck a dick. I
Yeah.
really don't care about what you have to fucking say. It's a superhero movie.
Mhm.
It like, and
Yeah.
on top of it, like you're never gonna really like how are you gonna sit there and like if there's two people who have superpowers and all of a sudden they start fighting in the middle of a city, you're never gonna be able to comprehend the amount of all the fucking people that might get damaged or hurt in a fight
See,
between
the one thing that I would argue, because I do think that that is a somewhat valid argument, and it's not an ironclad argument, but it's a somewhat valid argument, because it would have been one thing if we had seen Superman trying to draw them off to someplace else to fight, if he had been constantly trying to grab on, because they were flying at a number of different points during the fight.
That's as goofy as fucking like Goku. Like, hey, we should go to this other place where there's no people over there, where we could be able to fight.
Which
and
he did all the
nobody-
time.
What the fuck?
Goku did that all the time.
He did do that, and it was goofy as shit when he did it. It's like,
No, it made sense because he didn't want other people getting hurt.
no, I get
and
I
then he
get
blew up the
that.
whole damn planet to get
But
rid of
yeah,
Frieza.
no, yeah, it's like, dude, look, I hate to break,
If you
break
fuck
to
it up,
people.
then that's one thing. If you
Well,
don't try
no,
at
no,
all, that's
no, no,
another.
Yeah, as long as
Oh,
he's not, it doesn't have the blue glow, you're probably okay. Yellow glow, Goku is probably safe enough.
If you're living on a planet, and then all of a sudden two superhuman people start fighting each other, to the point where they're able to decimate whole cities on their own, you might die.
What?
Period. Okay, that's it. Let's
Oh, yeah.
move on to the next fucking logic system. Like
You
this
might
is
die, but
retarded as shit. Like I cannot
these are
understand this.
See,
No,
I'm not meaning to interrupt you.
If we're willing to accept that there are these types of beings that can level this type of destruction, then at that point, okay, then yeah, well then I might die in an instant. Okay, there we go. Then
These
we
are
we don't
people
have
that
to
don't
fucking-
know the difference between reality and fiction. Like I remember things from 9/11, that horrible
it's all
shit from
fiction.
9/11 that wasn't fiction, where like all it took was a body falling from a building to like kill people.
No. Well, hold on. You know what?
But like they look
No,
at a
you know what?
superhero
You know what?
movie,
No,
they
no,
look at a
no, no.
superhero movie. They look at a
Because-
superhero movie, and it's like Superman can't save everybody.
see,
No,
the
no.
thing,
Honestly, because that really did kind of
Sorry.
that got me.
I didn't
into-
mean to. I'm like, it's like Godzilla,
No,
okay?
no,
I went
that-
Godzilla. I didn't mean to go Godzilla on you, Adam.
No, that got me into a lot of because
Well, it's just
Right
that's
at
the
that
thing.
time, a
That's
lot
the
of
thing.
big
Like
comic book artists
these are people who are in La La Land.
Jen, let Adam talk.
Yep.
and no, and no, I'll let Jen talk too. What she's saying is straight. Is when that happened, a lot of comic artists they put out their fucking work. The thing is, watching people fucking jump from the fucking building is not the same as like it's
I know it's not. I know it's not. I didn't mean to take it there for that reason. It's just these people know what reality is. And yet they look at fiction and it's just like how can you treat it like it's the same thing?
exactly. That's no
Because they don't
no,
understand.
that's what
and
you
they don't-
you should well, you should expect it. Like we're not looking at Superman fighting Zod as the same as 9/11. It shouldn't be because it's Superman fighting Zod. 9/11 was fucking a real thing that happened. You know, like,
You know,
The one reason why I said that I give the argument credence is because we have it constantly in the real world where there'll be a police chase.
Mhm.
These aren't superhuman beings.
No.
They aren't able to completely control things.
No.
But there'll be a police chase, and they will try to force the chase to go away from various areas so that it isn't going, for instance, they aren't going to drive the chase towards a school that's just letting out. In fact, they'll set up a number of barricades that kind of leave an offshoot that goes away from the school, but block the way towards the school.
But it's two things in terms of storytelling where it's like if they can't if the brawl is going to be towards this area, one, but the other thing is too is like if the people surround, if we're strictly talking about storytelling in movies, I really have a hard time like looking at like, oh shit, what are the people, down the block doing? Like, well, what are these people? I'm supposed to be focusing on what these people are doing. That's the issue.
For me, it comes down to, I can absolutely understand why a villain would want to have the fight in the most crowded area that they possibly can, because it gives them an advantage.
They hold hostage.
And what I would be perfectly fine with is if the fight happened in the middle of Metropolis, but Superman, at the several times when they would end up both flying, was trying to drag him out of the most populated areas, and it was Zod was the one who kept going back into the most populated areas, knowing that Superman would have to chase him. Absolutely. No problem. And at that point, if people were going, look at all the people that died around this, I'd be going, yeah, but you saw that Superman was clearly trying to get the fight out of the populated areas. It was just that he wasn't able to succeed. It's another thing when there's no attempt made for that.
That's where you're asking for clever writing, and you know what?
Exactly.
In all fairness, that's where it comes into Kevin Smith, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, "Hey, I want to see a giant spider."
And like I said, all it would take for them to get the fight in the city without it being a why the fuck isn't he caring about the lives around him is if they showed that he tried and he kept trying and it just was not working. Yep, absolutely, no problem with that.
Instead of Goku saying, "Hey, let's go take this fight to a distant area," and it was Superman taking Zod by the cuffs and then dragging him to an area, that again, good writing. That's all we're asking.
And that's what happened in certain bits of Dragon Ball as well, because Dragon Ball didn't always have the villain that Goku would go, let's go fight in this.
I like to think Goku just like bringing Shenlong out of his pants. Like, he was like, hey guys, if you die, I could just pull a magical dragon out of my pants. Like, look, Shenlong.
Or Krillin comes out.
Some people have big cars. I have a giant dragon, okay?
Yeah, there were absolutely times where it was Goku went, okay, let's go off into this area and fight. And they went, no, I want to destroy the city. Fuck you. And then they had to fight in the city, and everyone went, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but then they have the same writing where you have a goofy ass Cell who's like, yeah, I'll have a fucking world tournament and shit.
Yeah, because his point wasn't so much that he wanted to destroy everything full stop. His
No,
point
he wanted
was
a fair fight, and he wanted to prove that he was the strongest. And again,
Exactly.
that's what.
And you
Good.
have that type of
Rich.
hero, I have no problem. Or that type of villain, I have no problem. If you
I
have the
love.
type
Well,
of
hey, you
hero,
know,
I have no problem. If,
It was also part of the storyline too, though, because even though he was still an android, at the end of the day, he still had that inclination because of the guy who created him.
Yep.
Like the need to take out Goku in the most humiliating way was programmed into him.
Yep.
So if
And-
Goku wanted to do it in front of
Wait,
everybody on TV, it was fine for him. And
Hold
then
on.
afterwards, he was going to take out the
Hold on,
planet.
hold on, Jen.
Uh-huh.
If I recall,
Uh-huh.
this is supposed to be a man's thing, so you're not.
I
allowed
watched
to,
that show too. Okay. I also watched the abridged because I thought Nappa was amazing.
Hey, it's Vegeta.
What?
Yeah, I watched it. I have figurines. I have movies. They're all counterfeit though
Vegeta.
because I got them from Chinatown and the tapes have this really
Whoa,
shit sticker on the
Chinatown.
side. Oh yeah. Well,
DBZ
everyone
abridged was a
everyone has a
Has a
Chinatown. Everyone has a Chinatown. Come on.
but it is,
Chicago
Rhode
doesn't.
Island doesn't.
it's getting rather late. Shall we take it around the horn?
Well, yeah,
Sure.
it's a good way to end it. Chinatown.
Yep.
I used to draw it too.
Okay.
One
I
of these
feel
days,
like-
I'll upload those pictures onto this computer and then be like, "Look, I was this hard into Dragon Ball Z." And you'll be like, "Wow, Jen."
You know
I
what?
feel
I
like
used
there was
to
enough
drive
of a-
around old Chinatown myself in the Pork Chop Express. Let me tell you something. The
We're gonna
check's
play
in the
Dragon
mail.
Ball, but you, Jen, you can play Bulma.
Dragon.
You can play Bulma.
Oh God, no, no. You know who I felt bad
Wait,
for? I
don't-
felt bad for Blanche because she just disappeared, and I was like, she was kind of cool.
No. If you're going to feel sorry for anyone in the Dragon Ball series, my motherfucking man Tien over there, he got fucked over because he went from being an absolute badass that was able to see a move be done once and then figure out how to do it
Yeah.
to, oh no, Krillin's the strongest human. What about Tien? Well, Tien just stopped mattering. Well, why did he stop mattering? Because we said that he did?
Oh wait, dude, he
Yeah.
did try being attacked.
Yeah.
He held. Well, what was it mid cell?
Yeah, he held Cell still, just fucking Kiko hoeing him into the goddamn earth. And they just went, okay, yep, done. And they made Krillin the strongest human. And I'm going, motherfucking Tien. What the fuck? Tien was stronger than Krillin. There was nothing that prevented Tien from continuing to train. They just decided that at some point, Tien, I don't know, got really big into masturbation and went off into a corner.
I thought Tien too also led the rest of his tribe or group towards rebuilding a lot of the stuff, because I could have sworn there was a lot of imagery of him and his crew rebuilding.
Yeah, they originally gave him this story that he went back to the three-eyed people and helped them out and got them organized and was doing all this kind of shit. And then Dragon Ball Z rolled around, and
Well,
Tien has been
Cranes-
out of training for fucking ages.
the Crane School, because after they helped defeat Piccolo, the ancient, old Piccolo de Mayo, the Crane School, I could have sworn they went on to just building themselves back up. But I mean, again, in terms of Dragon Ball, once the Saiyans came in, they pretty much, any of the Earthlings were like, who cares about them?
Mm-hmm.
It's all
Yeah.
about the Saiyans.
It was, if you're talking the human that got fucked over the most, hands down Tien. Tien
Yeah.
got fucked over
Yeah.
the most.
Yeah.
And
I'm just saying in terms of female characters, like I kind of felt like they could have kept Blanche at least as a human character.
yeah, Launch was good, and then they just kind of she wandered off.
Yeah.
Alien Lives Matter got involved, and only aliens were allowed.
She's probably at Kame House somewhere in the back room.
And Yamcha doesn't matter.
I thought it was
Yamcha
fun.
should never matter. So, who wants to go first in parting words?
Well, we can do it clockwise, and I'll just say thanks for having me on. And if I know we were going to talk about Dragon Ball, I would have brewed a pot of tea.
Nice. Perhaps next time
Wait, you got tea?
on Minions of the Zoo. So,
No, I want to.
I see what you did there.
yep. Thank you. Adam?
Well, it's Wednesday. I'm glad you let me join your show.
Always good having you.
And I'd like to like my ending. I love you all, and God bless.
Genty Maxi.
Well, I'll also go along with what Harry said and say thank you for having me on. Sorry for being a little bit late, but I had to run to the store because, it gets late and dark up here.
Jenna.
Thanks for letting me on an hour and a half into the show.
Well, you didn't ask right away.
Oh, I was doing something else.
Yeah.
I just, I was glad to be able to join, though, even though for the last 15 minutes I have no idea what the hell you people were talking about.
Dragon Ball Z.
But you talked about it with passion, and you loved it, and now I want tea.
And
Hey, Vegeta? 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 Vegeta?
now, if you want to do a Nappa, you have to, hey, Vegeta,
Vegeta?
Vegeta,
I can't do it.
Vegeta, we're gonna plant some of these Cybermen.
now you two.
I still every once in a while I listen to the Ghostbusters song that he did too.
Yep. So, I'm going to leave off with my standard. If you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, have a good night all. The zoo is closed.
Peace out.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Alien Lives Matter.
Vegeta! Hey, Vegeta!